In today's video, I would like to talk about why I collect guitars, how it all started for me, and why I actually think it can be a good financial investment. I started playing in 2004, and back then I didn't really know much about guitars. I just knew that I was interested in different kind of models and I found them aesthetically pleasing. So my first two guitars were straight new from the dealer. It was a cheap Stratocaster copy and a cheap bolt-on Les Paul style guitar, and they weren't really great guitars to begin with. They're not comparable to what you can get nowadays for entry-level guitars. The quality has risen. You can get like Harley Bentons or Squires that are really great instruments to begin with, but back then it wasn't really good to start with cheap guitars. So then I went to find something off-brand that was Korean made, and I found such a guitar on eBay. It was a Korea ZG14, which is a PRS copy, and I learned that I could modify it to make it suit me more. But this got me hooked on two things: bidding on guitars on eBay and modifying guitars. And I quickly learned that I could make some money on this by just investing some of my time and trying to sell it at a higher price later on. So that's how it all started. Back then, of course, I didn't know much about collectability of guitars. I knew that there were collectors trying to find vintage instruments like Gibson and Fenders, but they were always going for premium prices anyways, and I wasn't really trying to get into this field. But they're like stocks. You can have some of the vintage stuff go up in value and others might go down. So it's always hard to decide what to go for. There's always some kind of hype involved. And I would like to talk about hype because I've got the perfect example for a hype that followed a musician. The person I'm talking about is Misha Mansour of Periphery, who was back then just called Bulb. And he started playing Ibanez Prestige RGA 121 models, I think in 2008. And prices just skyrocketed. People wanted to have the same guitar because they felt like, if this guy is playing great on this instrument, I might be able to do the same stuff if I get the same model. But it's of course not the way it works with playing guitar, but some people wanted to have this special sound that he was going for. He later, of course, went on to play Mayonnaise, Vic, and Black Machine. And all of them went up in popularity. Like Black Machine had a 2-year waiting list, so you could not get a new custom order guitar unless you were willing to wait for years. These guys actually learned that you could sell gear with your name on it and make a living from this instead of your music, because music rarely gets you any money. It's endorsements, it's plugins, it's clinics, it's everything about being a band and being able to promote yourself in different ways. Yeah, that's what a hype is to me. I have 3 of these RGA models, but I waited until the hype was over and the market was going down again. And that's how I'm able to afford guitars that seem rare, but I just have a lot of time on my hands and I wait and wait and wait until I find something that is a good deal. So to this day, I've owned around 120 guitars and I overpaid on like 6 or 7 of them, which all of them I still have because they meant something to me. But I learned from my mistakes and I tried finding something that is financially responsible, as I would call it. So if I know that I can make something worth 15 to 25% more if I just put some time into it, I'm going for it. That's the kind of guitar I'm collecting. It's budget guitars most likely, mid-range guitars. Higher priced guitars usually won't give you this kind of return because people know what they have and people actually care for these instruments. So I would like to show you an example of such a great deal that I just recently made. This is a 2008 Epiphone Les Paul Standard in Blueburst, and I really liked the color when I saw the ad. Because it reminds me of Blueberry Burst, which is the hottest selling Gibson finish of the last couple of years. It's just missing some pinkish tone in it, and that's really similar. But it wasn't just the color that got me hooked. The price was just making sense. It was something that I didn't have to think about twice. It also came with a hard case, which I have good use for because I pile guitars in my storage room in hard cases, and that usually means it's worth more to me. But I'm going to show you why these are going for less than regular. It's filthy. It hasn't seen much love, and it's been in its case for, I think, the last years. The hardware is corroded, so you will have to polish it. The fretboard is covered in junk. The strings are of course rusted, and it's physical hard work to try to play it. The string action is high. It's like 3.2 millimeters on the 12th fret, which is astronomically high for my liking. The frets already look like they've been underwater for 20 years, even though this guitar isn't as old as this. It's just not been cleaned. It doesn't have any breaks. Of course, there's some dings and small little details that I would not consider this guitar to be new. But what I'll do is I'll just put in 2 hours of my time, and this is going to be worth essentially more. That's how I'm able to sustain this collection, by trying to find such deals and just modifying guitars. That's what I do. So let's get straight to it.